watching It's Life Live with your hosts, Juan Lee and Oliver Marcel. Come join us for enriching, enlightening, encouraging, and thought-provoking conversation. Let's go.
Hello, everybody. Hi, this is Juan Lee, and I'm going solo again today. Oliver's not with us today, so it's just going to be me on the front and on the back. So you're going to have to bear with me, and we appreciate you for being here tonight. So thank you for joining us here at Clear Journeys, It's Life. Clear Journey is a nonprofit that supports individuals as they're looking for answers to life's challenges. And we like to provide you with education and resources so that you might be able to reach your full potential and be your very best self. My name is Juan Lee. I'm the founder. And if you want to know more about Clear Journey, you can feel free to go over to clearjourney.org and learn more about what we do over there. Tonight, we're going to be doing something. Let me just go through all of the little things about Clear Journey. Clear Journey is one of the areas that we focus a lot on is finances. And we have a book over at Clear Journey that we like to give to you. And it's a book called Budgeting Made Easy, the guide to taking charge of your money. We want you to go over there and get that. That's a free ebook that you can get to help you navigate life with the right mindset. Because again, Clear Journey is about the right mindset. We talk about a love mindset, and it's so that you might be able to navigate not only your finances, but every area of your life, your health, your relationships, everything. So we want you to go over there and check that out. Now, Clear Journey also is about a book. The foundation is about a book that I wrote some years ago, it was 3 years ago. It's called Love Made Simple, the guide to inner peace, contentment, and success. And it's basically about the mindset, a love mindset. It's about how we have the ability to navigate life with using a love mindset. And it's Love Made Simple. It's where we want you to be able to use love to navigate life successfully in all areas of life. And so if you'd like to support us and pick up a copy of that, you can go to Amazon, and we have it on Audible. You can go get it on Audible, and we also have it in an ebook also. So you can get it on Amazon, or you can go to Audible and get that book. And that would really allow us to continue to do what we do the way we've been doing it, and increase and do more things in the future. Again, I'm working solo, so I'm going to have to take care of everything. So that being said, we have an interesting show tonight. If you have not been here before, hopefully you will enjoy, or it'd be very helpful that for the guest that's here, he's well-rounded. I tell you, our guest is well-rounded in the sense that he touches something about that really makes you, it touches every aspect of life. And so, as you might know, this particular episode is about the lessons in the presence, wisdom, wellness, and the life's calling. And so let me tell you a little bit about our guest. Our guest is a doctor of chiropractic. He is a Reiki practitioner, a life coach, and has a master's in positive psychology. Conversation tonight is going to be very interesting because it's drawing from a timeless wisdom of Dr. Mara's 104-year-old great-grandmother, Hattie. Our guest is going to share how being present, compassionate, and connected can transform our understanding of health and purpose. That being the case, our guest, welcome Dr. Darian Jamar. How you doing tonight? Sorry about that. How you doing?
No worries, Juan. I'm doing pretty well. Did some yoga, some meditation before I came on tonight, so I'm feeling pretty grounded.
You know what? There's so many things that you just said right there that are so significant to being able to navigate life.
hmm
So
hmm
it's so within your power, within
hmm
your power to be able to
hmm
do. And so many of us, I'm including myself, don't know or have not been introduced to the phenomenon that is in what you just said, and how
hmm
what you just said is so significant in being able. And you said something grounded, and
hmm
man, and I've learned in the last year or so the significance, and it's literal as much as it is philosophical in this. It's grounded.
Yep.
It's
Exactly.
literal. It's
Exactly.
literal in the meaning of what you said, and people use it in the philosophical way. I was like, I'm grounded,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
attached. No, but
hmm
it's actually
hmm
literally grounding
hmm
yourself,
hmm hmm
because our bodies are made to be grounded.
hmm
So, I mean, I
I'm
don't
my
know where we
best
want to
self,
stop.
but I am that. I also call it staying located. When when I when I'm scattered, I know what that feeling is, and it's like all of my resources are put back to okay, we gotta bring myself back. With holidays and change and transition, being around family, I can easily get it. But that's when I have my practices that help to keep me located, that help to keep me grounded. And even tonight, excuse me, I didn't have as much time as I would have wanted to meditate, but I remember what I share with my clients this, and I heard this saying a while ago, maybe 2018, 19. I heard this saying that if you don't have a minute to meditate, take 10. So if you don't have
Wow.
1 minute to meditate, take 10.
Mm-hmm.
And so tonight all I had was 1 minute, but I saw the power and the beauty in that minute, and it was what I needed, and I took it and I embraced it. But a lot of times too with my clients, they say I don't have a lot of time. Well, I'm like, well, do you have 5 minutes? Do you have 10 minutes? So we that scarcity mindset a lot of times robs us from being able to see what we do have. But anyway, I just wanted to, to expand on
Hey,
that sense of groundedness.
I jumped the gun. I want you to introduce yourself. I mean, I just gave you I gave a little introduction of who you are. Let's talk. I mean, tell us about who you are and where you're from and what you do and how you do it, and we can pick it up from there.
Well, you expanded and you spoke about the titles, right? But there's so much more to who I am. That's how I show up in the world. Those are the things that I do. But I was born and raised. I say between Maryland and Virginia. Born in Virginia, but I spent a lot of time in Maryland as well, living between the two. Went to school in Virginia, went to undergrad in Virginia, Longwood University. And then when I received my call to attend chiropractic school, spiritual calling, I went to chiropractic school at Life University in Marietta, Georgia. Also obtained my master's in positive psychology from that same university. And so I've been living here, practicing here in DC since 2018. Um, yeah, and over time, I've evolved to have blended, the services together that you mentioned today or earlier. I always knew in chiropractic school that I was going to be different. I knew that my style. I didn't know how. Didn't know all the things. I didn't know it was going to be Reiki, and I didn't have all of that because it was up here. But over time, as I've been present, right, living a I love you talked about love mindset. I really love that. I wrote that down. I had some thoughts about all those things. But living from this heart space over time, all these things have come together in this way that I would have never imagined if I had stayed stuck up in my head. So it's just been this beautiful unfoldment. And I like to say too, especially to my clients, this truly isn't what I do, it's who I am. So my practice it's an expression of who I am because I truly embody, and I'm not perfect at these things. None of us are, right? But I've found that those things help me stay connected to myself, and staying connected to myself, hearing from myself, being connected to my heart, my voice. Yes, it serves me, but in serving me, it also serves everyone else. So being able to keep my cup full so I can also fill other people's cups.
Well, I tell you, you don't know what you just said. You are so, you and I are so connected in the sense of how we are to connect to one another. And the only way that we can connect is out of a full cup,
Mm-hmm.
because it's that overflow that we have to give.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that ability to be able to understand that. I'm not gonna go there because we'll take it to a whole nother space. We ain't gonna go there. But we're gonna get into a little bit of what we're gonna talk about is the title of our show, and that is that wisdom, the presence that wisdom, wellness, and life's calling. You know, you said that you were influenced by your great grandmother Hattie. How did she shape the philosophy of life and wellness for you?
When I was a kid, I didn't know there weren't many kids that liked to go over to my grandma Hattie's house. She was older, of course. Most of the other kids wanted to play outside with other kids. Her house was quite warm and hot. But there was just something about, like, I was always drawn to go over there and talk and sit on her couch and just hear her talk. And she would oftentimes tell me the same stories over and over. And I used to say, I used to like say, Grandma, you already told me that. But I realized she forgot that she already told me that. But also later in life, realized that was a lesson in itself, right? We often need to learn lessons over and over. So there's power even in that she taught me. Um, but yes, I was always drawn and attracted to being around her. And I think in terms of the influences, what she gave me is really a compassionate heart. She was always very compassionate. She taught me about sharing. She would give me something, and she would always tell me, now divide it up and give it to your siblings too. She always talked about taking care of your mom. She said that's mama's who you came from. You only get one mama. She taught me a lot of things, like life lessons in that sense. She taught me the skills of listening. Like, she was always a listening ear. She's taught me this power of storytelling. Like I said before, she was always telling and sharing a story, and I'm very much so at the heart of how I serve the world is through storytelling. Um, she taught me about fasting. I would go over her house, and she would say, I'm fasting, I'm fasting. She'd be walking around the house just drinking water. I didn't really know what that meant, but later when I was in chiropractic school, I was like, oh, this is what she was doing. I see. And then one of my favorite things is, almost always when I came over, we would make cornbread together. We'd make a pan of cornbread, and just her and I would sit there, eat the whole pan, sitting in the rocking chairs, sitting in a rocking chair talking. And then more recently, I know as a kid, I'd always always wanted to play piano, and it's because I believe, growing up, going over her house, she would be playing piano just randomly a lot of the times, and I started playing piano this September, the day before my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so those are just some of the ways that she's influenced me, and she's still influencing me.
That's very interesting, because some of the things in my book I talk about is in Love Made Simple. It's broken up into 4 stages of life, and it's the teens, the young adults, and seniors. And the thing that I try to promote is the need that each one of those stages has for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing how you could have been able to, at a young age, begin to see that value in your great grandmother. Now, this is not your grandmother, your great grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
in a way in which it really reinforces that thought that I put together in there, and the fact that we need one another. We really do need each one. And the thing about it is, and then this is what we as individuals, as individuals, we need to be able to know, and that is that we are investing into the next generation. And so when we take the time, especially when you want to hear it, we really have to be wanting to pour it out and give it. And the thing about it is to be receptive enough to
Yes,
receive it.
yes, yes. That openness is key. That openness is I I can only work, especially in the spiritual Reiki. We haven't talked about that yet, but Reiki, those energetic spaces, individuals have to be open. And I can tell when someone's closed, the energy doesn't flow. But there's also a saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And so often in life, when I'm ready to learn a lesson or to, move through a pattern, my openness and receptivity to that has to be there before that energy is able to be moved, or that person shows up in my life and that's there to teach me that lesson. But if I'm closed off to those things, then the energy, life can't get through to us.
Yeah, and that's the thing, that if we're not educated enough to understand that, we're left wondering and having the old question, why am I here? What am I? What should I be doing? Instead of absorbing the moment and being able to take full advantage of it. Your three practices, so to speak, your Reiki, your chiropractic, your life coaching, and also your what's the last one you had? How do they blend? How do you put them together? How do they work together to provide you? How do you provide those different practices together to your clients? Or do they
So
blend?
they're really, at this point, as I was saying before, I think 2 years ago, I went to this spiritual. I was talking with my spiritual advisor, and she freed me, because I think for so long I was in my head about, oh, these titles and how do I do. And she was just like, get out of your head and lose step away from these titles and just allow your energy, allow the practice to flow. So very much so, I'm in that place, and a lot of times, a visit might include all three of those things, all in one, because they're really,
Mhm.
at this point, I call my especially for the chiropractic visits, they're holistic alignment. So alignment, yes, someone may come in, they've had the back pain, they're coming in for that specific service. But if I start to sense or, receive inclinations that it's more of a spiritual element, then that opens the door to, some of the life coaching skills, helping them to plant the seeds of awareness, or creating opportunities for mindful moments in their life, or, making suggestions like journaling, or asking powerful questions, and or suggestions for Reiki. So it depends on what service really they come in for. Sometimes people will come in for chiropractic and they eventually will go down the road of exploring Reiki. Sometimes I have a lot of clients who come in for Reiki and then they want to do more body work, because it all is truly important.
Yeah.
But again,
I,
it depends on one's openness. So one becomes a door that opens up to another door.
Okay. I mean, because I honestly have learned over maybe the last 2 or 3 years of how significant the body, mind, and spirit is. They all come together and makes up the whole of who you are, and you really need to be able to be in tune, because they really affect each of your beings, your parts,
For sure.
your
For sure.
physical and your mental and your emotional. All of these things come together to make up who you are, and you really need to be in tune with those aspects. um your positive psychology, what added that twist in? What caused you to get into that, the role that purpose plays?
So psychology, I still remember 11th grade year high school when I took AP psychology class, and it was just like, oh my gosh, just the lights just went off, and so much understanding in terms of who I was, and the things that I navigated as a child. And that was when the seed was planted, and I knew something was important about the mind and our psychology and the influences of our experiences and how that impacts us, um, as we move throughout our childhood, but also into adulthood, and those type of things. But while I was in chiropractic school, I discovered that the university had a master's program in positive psychology, and so I was like, "Oh, that sounds interesting." So I explored it, and it really resonated in terms of, I think it reinforced things that I already knew. I like to say positive psychology is essentially um, perspective, the way of looking at life. How do you derive meaning from your experiences, and how do you use that to live an empowered life? And it's not necessarily, people hear positive and they think, positive all the time. Yes, positivity is important, but equally as important, especially when we dive into mindfulness and awareness, is that you're going to experience all of life, not just the highs, but also the lows. But it's how you navigate those experiences. And those are the tools and resources that I really received from my master's in positive psychology. I often give a recommendation to my clients, especially if they're new in the healing work and they're doing moving through a lot of dark emotions or shadowy type stuff. The Upside of Your Dark Side is a great book because it takes a spin and a different look on. They talk about mindfulness versus mindlessness. We talked a lot about mindfulness, but there's equally as important moments of mindlessness. At home sometimes when I unwind, I will watch some Netflix and stuff like that. And that's equally as helpful and healthy, especially if you're doing it in the right way. But anyway, the book is really good because it takes a spin on these darker emotions that we can sometimes run from, even fear and anxiety. Sometimes in certain moments in your life, it does have a productive role, right? And so if we're constantly just trying to be on one side of the spectrum, positive, that's not necessarily going to empower us and allow us to really move through life. Because as we know, there's highs and lows. There's a lot going on, especially in the world today that we live in today.
Wow, that's a great way of putting it. I've never heard that like that before, because it's truly it's necessary to be able to understand that it is a navigating of highs and lows in a way in which they're not to be it's not to be made as though they don't exist.
Right.
But it's truly just how you navigate them, and it has a space to be able to navigate. I mean, there's a space to navigate it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's very often when people come in my office, that's often the space that I help to just open and create for them, right? It's just holding that space for that darkness, for that heavy emotion. An example that comes to mind is one of my chiropractic clients. She came in and I was adjusting her neck or her cervical spine. And that day, something just felt different. And I knew, which is part of also my practice, is about taking the quality time to get to know people, not just for what they come in for, but the things that are navigating their life. And that's why I call it holistic alignments, because if I didn't know her partner had passed 3 or so years ago, the relevance that is holding to her and her life and for that day in her body, that would have, went completely out of that information wouldn't have been there, because I knew there was more going on than just her neck being hurt, the reason why she was having physical pain there. And I asked her, I was like, how are you moving through your grief about your partner? And she almost just bust out crying. She was like, I can't believe you asked me that. That was what she was navigating in that moment. She hadn't mentioned that, but that was a sense, that was the awareness, the download, the intuitive thought that I had in that moment.
That is power right there, because you don't know that you don't know you're holding it until somebody enlightens you,
right,
of the fact that that's what you're holding, and again that's a part of my journey, and that is being able to recognize that I was holding something, or I have been holding something, or I am holding something. And it's there is no singular way to be able to navigate those spaces that you're talking about. And I think that's very good information there to be able to follow, and to be very open, and you can't overstate that enough, is being open enough to hear when somebody else is sharing with you your pain, to be honest with you, your pain. So that's boy, you're speaking to me. You said something to us. You sent something to us, and you said that life's calling is a health issue. Can you elaborate on that? Share with us what that means.
You know, so often people people will come to me, especially specifically I'm thinking about in the Reiki space, because it is a more spiritual, emotional oriented place, and they are coming to me, and it's you know, they may be dealing with some deeper things that they know is connected to more of an emotional or spiritual, and they're feeling blocked, and the way that it's manifesting is in a health oriented way. um, but in that blockage and that experience of that pain, it's all coming back to them in one way or another not living in alignment with who they are, or you know, their true voice. And again, it might go back to some childhood trauma. It may go back to a lot of different issues, but once we're able to clear those things, whether it's in their throat area, their throat chakra, maybe as a, you know, a kid they were bullied, or they didn't have a voice because the parent was overbearing, or um, you know, maybe they suffered some abuse as a kid and that manifests in their back. So all these things can deter someone from being connected with their own truth, their own alignment, own sense of purpose. But it's initially manifesting as these kind of in these physical ways or physical outlets. So yes, it's health issue, but much deeper than that. It's a destiny issue. It's a purpose oriented issue. I'm thinking about. I won't share that. I'll wait to see what you if you had a question.
No. I mean, you can continue to elaborate on that. What I mean, go ahead. If you have an example, because I mean, because where I was. Go ahead.
Where were you going? Where were you going?
No. Because when you said that there was when you went to Reiki and in your psychology, I was, what is the combination? Is there a difference there of method of being able to work through various types of traumas, so to speak, in the two, or what is that, the difference between the two, and how do they complement one another?
The Reiki serves the purpose of, I'll say in my practice and how I utilize the energy, of helping to bring awareness and attention to how essentially the energy, or how the trauma or the issues might be trapped in the body.
Mm-hmm.
So Reiki is helping to move energy throughout the body, helping to unblock places where, again, trauma or energy is stagnant, so on and so forth. But, and I say specifically me, but in my Reiki practice, I also receive downloads from, let's say, spirit or the universe. So a lot of times I'm getting feedback, or I'm receiving images and information to also pass along to the individual that I'm working with. And so the Reiki, again, is helping to, it's kind of like a scanner, right? It's helping to detect, give more feedback and understanding on what that is diagnostically. And then the positive psychology is where I'm able to utilize skills in my training to help them navigate those types of experiences. Especially, I a lot of, for my positive psychology, my capstone project was in inner child work. So I get a lot of inner child individuals wanting to do inner child work, inner child trauma, those types of things. So that's where the positive psychology, that's how those two interact with each other.
Okay, I mean, that brings some understanding. I like how you said the Reiki is like a scanner, and then it allows you now to give you the show you where you need to apply the tools that you have in your psychology to address those physical ailing things or emotions that are hindering the body,
Right.
and it transfers into a psychological release. So I get it. But now, was that where were you headed though? You want to bring an example of something that you were saying.
um, I was thinking about one of my clients, and I was just trying to phrase it in the best way. I hadn't had time to really sit with the example enough. So I was just,
Okay.
I was just wondering if I should share that or not. But I'll wait for now.
Okay.
That's
I mean,
all.
I understand. I understand because I mean, this is a very personal space, and I don't want to you to to compromise that in any way. But I mean, I think it's something that is so interesting that we as people need to understand the connections that we need to make to be able to navigate life more successfully. There is no, you know, you don't have to do without when you have alternatives and options. And what you're providing and you're suggesting is that there are solutions to what otherwise we would not have been aware of. Um, if you only have the connections, if you know that you know that there are resources out there, and I think this is the prime example of how that works. Um, you say you do you a lot of storytelling. Where did you get that from? Where did you learn to do the storytelling as a tool of being in your practice? How did you incorporate that?
For sure, I think it's a combination of I I got my first journal when I was in second grade, second or third grade. I still have the journal to this day, a Harry Potter journal. And going back to when you asked me about when I was talking about my great grandmother early on, that was another moment where I was guided by a wisdom because my parents, people that I was around, they weren't talking about journaling. It wasn't almost, it was weird that I was journaling, right? No one else, especially, you know, boys didn't do those types of things. But intuitively, it was just one of the ways that I created a space, an outlet for myself to be able to express and move through these thoughts and things that I felt as a kid. Because we talked about, oh, I'm a doctor of chiropractic, Reiki practitioner. These skills, in one way or another, they were always in me. So I always had a heightened sense of awareness, a spiritual connection. I was always very sensitive, and I know this, I can articulate these things now, but as a kid, that was overwhelming. I was bombarded by other people's energy and their trapped emotions and them not dealing with, things that happened to them as a kid and how that manifested in front of me or in my life. So I think it definitely started with this curiosity and very practical usage of journaling. And then I think my great grandma Hattie definitely added on to that. Um, and then I think the last bit, it was just, over time, I just got to a point where I started to write more and more. And there was even a block in my writing because um, up until the fifth grade, I was two or three reading levels behind. So for so long, I was still sitting with this, oh, I didn't think I could write as well as the other kids, and I saw everyone else as being superior to me in my skills. I even once I graduated chiropractic school and finished my master's, I applied to Johns Hopkins. I've never shared this, their writing school, and I got denied. And even in that moment, I knew there was a reason why I was denied, because I knew spirit wanted to see that what I had was enough in terms of the skills. And I've always felt that I have been called to formulate my own style and uniqueness and not allow that to be tainted by these more structured, ways of doing things, because there's no one way to do anything. So definitely a combination of curiosity as a kid, influenced by my great grandmother, and then I think also as a part of my calling, I send out messages to my communities, spiritual messages, and it's one of the one of the most sacred things that I do, because it not only helps me, but I know it helps other people, and I've been called to share these things, and it blends, elements of darkness and light, and I very much so have come to have developed a very unique writing style and voice that I'm proud of, but it was moving through all of those things, right? All those blocks and being open to those experiences and seeing how they too have become part of my story and something that I feel empowered by now versus back then when I was denied by John Hopkins. Again, I never shared that with anyone until now. I never even told anyone I applied,
Hmm.
but I've been liberated from that because I know it served a much better purpose.
You know, that's very interesting the way you articulated that, because that liberty that you just spoke of is that which we're all aspiring to have.
Mm-hmm.
And when you said that you had what was enough.
Mm-hmm.
See, what you had was sufficient, necessary, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a necessary, sufficient, and enough. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and we have to be able to embrace that, and not be compared
Mm-hmm.
to anything or anybody, because we are an original, we're unique. And look, I myself, if everybody here has probably heard my story a million times, but I have a learning disability, and it wasn't diagnosed until I was 37 years old. And so you can imagine the frustration, and you talking about a couple reading levels behind. Shucks. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was the poster child. And the thing about that was the frustration and stuff like that. So I then identified with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to grow to a point where I realized that what I couldn't do was not what I identified with. It's the uniquenesses that's in me.
Right.
And so
Right.
that's
Right.
very much what you're talking about. And that's how you've told your story and brought it in. And here's the thing about it is, um 10 years ago I wouldn't have said what I just told you, what I
Mm-hmm.
just said.
Mm-hmm.
But the
For sure.
liberty now, the
Mm-hmm.
liberty
Mm-hmm.
that it comes from, it means that I'm confident in who I am.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
that's you cannot compare to that. You can't do anything to that. When you have that kind of confidence and assurance of who you are, you show up, you know.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
that's what it's all about. We don't have to play
Mm-hmm.
small ball. We can
No.
show up in all our who we
Yeah.
are, and confident in
Yeah.
who we are.
And
So
this is, I think, that whole point and concept is, especially for this year. Each year, I get a energetic sense of where we're going as a, especially, particularly, I guess, in the people I've been called to serve, my community. And one of the things that I keep getting is that this year is really going to ask us to lean into our spiritual practices, and in that spiritual nature, right, is the liberty that's found to be who we are and to own our power, to own our inner divinity and our connection with something much bigger than ourselves. Because in me doing that and you doing what you're doing, we're able to now give this to help other people and to inspire other people. So people, how can you change the world is really just starting with yourself. And from there, you will influence your family, you will influence your people at work, and they will naturally, because it's the energetic sense. That's where the Reiki comes into play, because when we're holding trauma, all those things, people feel that. They might not be able to articulate it, but they're like, oh, I don't want to be around that person. You don't have good energy, because that's your aura. Your aura is an expression of the energy that you hold. It radiates outward.
people, and the thing about it is, many of us don't recognize it, nor do we understand it. Less more do
Right.
we understand it.
Right.
Um, so let me ask the question. Another part of what we were going to be talking about had to do with compassion. How does compassion help you in your practice, in your daily? How does that? I know so many things, but I'm going to allow you to answer the question because it's one of my questions. How does compassion help you in with your practice?
I love that you asked this, because when people come to me, they're coming. Sometimes it's things like someone wants to get pregnant, or they want to have a baby, or they have some type of goal or thing that they're navigating. They're in a tough season, whatever it is. But for me, my goal always under that is the love and expression that they're able to show themselves as they're moving through that journey to get to wherever you're going. Because if you don't have that piece, that's what will keep you from being able to keep going forward. But it also is, when you have that compassion, it starts to to break. I'm thinking of that Tasha Cobb's song, Gracefully Broken. It starts to break you open, to open you up to more and more different experiences, different emotions. And inevitably, there's a level of vulnerability that's required. Even today, right? For me, it was vulnerable to lean into like, oh, I wanted 10 minutes to meditate because my thing, right, is this disease of being perfect and being super prepared. So one of the things I had to move through in spirit, situation, circumstances for like a whole year came to me in terms of, no, you're ready. No more preparing. No more. Because I like to sit back to research. Even for this episode, I'm like, can you send over the questions? Because I want to be articulate. I want to do all of that. But the lesson I knew tonight was this: show up, open heart, be present, stay grounded, and that's it. But that's where the compassion comes into play. So the compassion is everything. It's something you have to wake up with it. You have to go to bed with it. It's there to pick you up in the lowest moments. It's there when you're high. But that's always the number one goal for me. Always what I'm looking for myself and also in other people.
I think I tell you, you and I, that word love that I used in that love mindset is that vessel that navigates all of what you're talking about in the
sense it can
sense
do
of
that.
oh, absolutely.
It's big enough. It's powerful enough to do that. It's powerful enough.
And it has that capacity to reach and connect to that thing that's bigger than you.
Yes.
And when you can really understand that and understand that power, that psychology that comes behind that, and the tools that are in place for you to be able to navigate with, it's amazing the things that you're saying, how they resonate with me, how much they resonate with me.
I mean,
and
that was the thing that I wrote down in your intro, the love mindset. It reminded me of three things. One way that I often like to help my clients when they feel flustered, don't know where to go, is are you in love? Or are you in fear? Two energies. What place are you in? Are you in a place of fear? Or are you in a place of love? The other thing that came up was a quote by Mr. Miyagi from Karate Kid. I share this very often with my clients. When he says, the heart knows what the mind forgets. The heart knows what the mind forgets.
Instinctively.
And again, that heart, that wisdom, and that was one of the things that I really struggled with for so long, because I am such a spiritual oriented. I do have that mind, but what I've come to understand is that the mind serves my heart and not the other way around. And what I have grown to really embrace is that the spirit is able to navigate all areas of life, business, finances. We're in our world, we try to separate and you need to do this, but the spirit is there. It can help you navigate the highs, the lows, dark, shame, guilt. Is able to do those things.
That's the clear journey model. I mean, it's there for every stage of life.
Every stage, no matter how messy.
And to understand that with that mindset, there is nothing. You win. You win. And it positions you in a space that you can't lose. I mean, Come on. I mean, that's the power that we're talking about here. Anyway, here's the point. Practical wellness tips. What kind of tips can you give our listeners to adapt to improve their physical, emotional, or spiritual health?
I'm really big on setting up, practices in the morning, throughout the day, and the evening. I try to the best of my ability not to go to bed carrying stuff, right? So, because you wake up in the morning, yes, your energy might be there, and then before you know it, something happens and you start to get heavier and heavier. And then we try to, because sleep is a very important aspect for healing, right? So if we don't have practices set up to help to bring us back to ground us, to bring us back to ourselves, we go to bed and then we wake up the next day and we're a snowball because we still are processing the thing from the day before because we haven't created the space. So being able to set up practices in the morning, afternoon, and evening, whether it's 5 minutes in the morning or 30 minutes, for me, it looks different depending on the day and what I have going on the next day. But the morning, I try to at least meditate, do my prayer every day, couple times a day usually, yoga, and I also do qigong. But on days when it's shorter or limited, I might have 2 or 3 minutes to meditate in the morning. I've started to, over the past year, meditating during the day before I take my lunch. But sometimes it might look like just doing a 10 or 15-minute walk. Walking is very powerful. And I think for us in our society where we're constantly go, 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 walking is a great way to really bring us to the moment. And so many good mindfulness, meditative elements to it. I see walking as a beautiful spiritual practice. So I really am a big advocate of walking, and then having a practice at the end of the day. Again, whether that's Reiki, whether that is a meditation, some gentle yoga, some mindful breathing, and there's so many different apps out there. Calm is a really popular one that I generally recommend. So I think having those routines, and again, journaling. A lot of times, depending on Mondays and Wednesdays are usually my day where I have more freedom for myself. I call them those my creative admin health days. They're like a blend of everything, a hodgepodge, but I do at least 30 minutes to an hour of journaling on those days. So that's like another way that I help to keep myself clear and healthy and mindful. So biggest thing is just having those routines and practices in place.
Hey, I can't agree with you more. I really can't. The thing about it is that when you say that is just that we just don't handcuff ourselves or put ourselves in bondage to not doing it in a particular time or space, but understand the need for it.
Right.
And just allowing that to help us position it
right
in each day, and
right.
it's not has to be at the same time or the same
No,
place, or but it's the
again,
routine.
the heart,
Yeah.
right? The heart will guide you. It's like, oh, okay, I
Without
got
any
2 minutes.
condemnation,
I got 10 minutes before this meeting. Let me just go outside and stand in the sun. However it may be, whatever it may look like for you. And the reason why I'm really stressing those because meditation was like that was where I really started in my journey in chiropractic school. Intuitively, no one was really 2000 when I started chiropractic school, 2014. No one was really talking about self-care or healing. These were all intuitive things that I had started to lean into. And I would sit on the edge of my bed, put my timer on for 5 or 10 minutes. And 3 minutes in, I'm like looking at my phone, 5 minutes looking at my phone. But I kept coming back because I intuitively knew that there was something there that I needed to get from it. And if we don't have that awareness, that mindfulness, that is just the key to our healing and our ability to navigate this world and its life. Because it gives us the ability to know and be able to stop and pause if we need to. Gives us the ability to know, oh, that's someone else's energy, that's not mine. It helps us to create separation between us and other things, us and our trauma, us and our desires that is coming from our mother who planted that in us, whatever the case may be. That mindfulness, that awareness is key.
That physiological necessity to know and understand how we are made, how we operate, what we are, what makes us up, is essential. And that's why we're having this conversation, to be honest with you, is to make people aware of the things that are necessary for us to be able to navigate this thing called life. And here's the thing that's so great. Everything that you're talking about, each and every one of us has the capacity, has the ability. It's innately in us. If only we knew that this is what we have to do. Your 10 minutes of prayer or meditation or yoga is what physiologically your body needs this. And if we don't know that or recognize that, we'll spend it stuffing our face with a sandwich or something and running and eating at the same time. I mean, these are things that I've had to, I'm about to turn 60. And I had to learn these things in my 50s. So you can imagine what the damage has done due to ignorance to the physiological, my body. And now I'm having to now navigate what I didn't know in a way that if I had known, I wouldn't even have to navigate it. But the awareness is coming.
Right.
And now it's up to me to now do what it takes to now to, in many cases, undo some things, which is not easy, because it takes time to undo before you can really begin to benefit from the things that you had done inappropriately, did wrong, that you didn't do them right.
Right.
And so it's this awareness. It's truly it's a game changer. But it's up to each and every one of us to be able to now take this information and now apply it so that we can now see the benefit of the purpose of it being relevant, is so that we can invest it into the next generation long before we get to our 50s.
And I just want to add that, and the beauty and all of what you said, of when your discovery of all this started to begin, the power and the beauty, and what sometimes is a struggle for us to accept, is you're still in perfect timing with your soul and with your life, right? This is all served a purpose. Because otherwise, if we resist what our past was, and then we're still not completely present if we're not allowing that energy. So yeah.
No, I'm a combination of all that I have. My journey is my journey. It's just now this awareness is now looking at how that it impacts my future move, my future.
Right.
That's the beauty of it. Hey, I think we've covered everything. Here's my question. If your great-grandmother Hattie was here today, what story or piece of advice do you think she would be here to share with us, as it transpires through your eyes?
It's interesting because and earlier when I was doing yoga, usually in the beginning of the class they ask you for your intention, and again, right, when you're living from the heart, though, I don't have to think about it; it just comes up out of nowhere. And so as soon as you ask that, what I heard was what I heard earlier, and perhaps that was her speaking to me, but it's very simple. It's you are enough. You are enough.
I can't say anything more than that. I think that's a beautiful understanding as to what love is all about. Is understanding that you are enough. You are enough. I mean, so hey.
I do want to share a quote before we hop off.
Okay.
Because it is about love, and very fittingly, since on Monday it's MLK Day, it's from Martin Luther King Jr.
I think it's appropriate.
All right, so let me share it. One of the greatest problems of history is that concepts of love and power are usually contrasted as polar opposites. Love is identified with a resignation of power, and power with a denial of love. What is needed is a realization that power without love is reckless and abusive, and that love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice. Justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love.
The power of love. The power of love. I tell you, it's people look at love as being something that's fragile. It's the most powerful thing that is in existence.
For sure.
And it's been given to each and every one of us to be able to demonstrate it on behalf of the other. in that combination, that connection, humanity is not, you can't lose.
You can't. You can't.
It can't lose. If only we have that perspective that each of us shared for the value that we would have and share with each other about one another. And that's rooted in understanding what love is all about. Hey, we didn't even get into talk about the other thing that you do. And just before we do it, we got to put it in there. Your 320 scholarship.
My nonprofit.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So the 320 scholarship, the birth story of the 320 scholarship was born from the experiences that I went through during college. I put myself through undergrad. So financially, I was, it was just the financial strain and struggle that led to a lot of emotional, spiritual, the place that I was at after I graduated. My dad, 3 days after my 18th birthday and less than a month of being in college, was sent to prison. So the financial breadwinner of my family sent off and away. And so that led me down this road of eventually 2014 going to chiropractic school out of a place of needing healing. But the 320 scholarship comes into play because during that experience in undergrad, I told myself that if I made it through this, if I graduated, one day I will reach back and help and support other students, not just with a scholarship, because we do provide a scholarship. The 320 scholarship usually provides about $3,000 in monetary funds to a first-year college student. But we also support them with mentorship coaching during that first year, because that was a piece that I felt was truly missing, that more relational component, being able to talk with someone, to talk to them about the experiences and things that I was navigating, not knowing that there was a whole other world I was navigating as a first generation college student. We also send care packages, or what we like to call gifts of grace, during that time. So that's the 320 scholarship. And individuals can learn more by visiting our website, the320scholarship.com.
And I will put that up right here. There we go. That's where you can find out more about that. I just wanted to make sure that they knew all of what you were doing, and I think that right there is very important for people to know. And do you do that annually, or how often do you?
Yeah, we do that each year. We do it annually. This past year, we supported 6 students. We're expanding to an additional high school. So this next coming year, 2005, 2006, we'll support 8 students a year. We've supported 31 students since 2018. So my 320 scholarship will turn 7 on March 20th this year. My nonprofit is older than my business. I started it before I graduated chiropractic school. So yeah, we've provided over $76,000 in scholarship funds to date.
Well, that's great. That's great. Well, we're going to stay connected, because I think that's something, again, like I said, we're all here to nap together to be connected. And I think the synergy that you have and the way in which you do what you do, it resonates with me. And I think for us to be able to share it from our perspectives are very important, because I think everybody is not going to have the same voice. But at the same time, it's all for the same purpose. We're trying to reach a place where we're all connected in understanding how we are to live and navigate this thing called life. And for a little bit more information about you, they can contact you right there at your own website.
JamAra.com.
Yep. And that's where you take on your holistic practice, and they can get a little bit of all of you in that practice. And if they want to touch base with you and just contact you directly, here's your website, your email address.
Yep.
All righty. Anything else you'd like to share before we go?
No, I appreciate you for creating a space, for holding the space, and for trusting your own heart, and doing what you're doing today, because it is helping. Just thank you. Just gratitude for being able to be here and to to share.
Well, I appreciate you being here. Truly, honestly, I mean, you have basically again shared with me the things that I have newly aware of, and to be able, like I said, it doesn't matter what space and what time, what stage of life, this awareness is necessary,
For
and the
sure.
sooner we get it, the better. And that's Clear Journey's mission, is to educate and apply resources, and hopefully the community will hear and see that the information that we've provided tonight is something that they can use, and you will be that vehicle, that source that they can reach out to. So we appreciate you for being here with us tonight. And that being said, I'm going to send you back to the waiting room. Don't go nowhere. And I'm going to just close out the show, and we'll really appreciate you being here. Thanks again.
Okay.
Well, all right, everybody. Thank you very much. I hope it was as enlightening for you as it was for me. I tell you, his ability to be able to share his gifts and talents with us has been, I think, phenomenal for us. Again, if you would like to learn more about Clear Journey, go over to clearjourney.org, where we talk about finances, relationships, we talk about health and wellness, all of those things that have to do with the love mindset in any and every area of your life, by all means. And if you would like to support us, please go over there and donate. We look forward to your support in helping us to continue this in any fashion or amount. We appreciate it. If you want to reach out to me, you can reach me at info@clearjourney. Just put my name in the info in the subject matter. It's a question that you want to ask. If you want to be a part of Clear Journey, just let us know that you want to be a volunteer or be a part of what we're going to do. And like I said, just to register and be a part of it, we're going to have newsletter. We have newsletters. If you'd like to know more about what we're doing, just let us know, and we'll be more than happy to share and bring that information to you. All righty. And so that being said, it's just me tonight. And so what I say every night, we can't change your life, but we can help you navigate it. And until next time, we will look forward to seeing you here at It's Life. Thanks a lot.